What's up, everybody? I wanted to make a care video today. I'm going to give you a little in and outs of some things I do as well. I want to revisit a video I made when I first started my channel over 10 years ago to start off, and that's basically when you enter the enclosure, canceling the feed response. So, I used to keep a large collection of reticulated pythons, and they have a hell of a feed response. So, with them being such a large snake combined with their feed response, you really needed to adopt those rules to keep yourself safe. With boas, I still do it, but I don't do it every time. And, it's probably not a good thing to get complacent, but in the case of a feed bite, it's most likely not a life or death situation. But I still think you should do it most of the time, and I certainly try to. But basically what you do, you get yourself a hook. You don't need a hook, but I've just always had hooks. And, you open your tub, you open the cage, and all you're gonna do is you tap them on the head and you rub their neck. And most of the time, you'll see their behavior, their posture will change. And that's going to be an indicator of they kind of know what's going on. They certainly know it's not feeding. And now you're able to get in there and do any kind of cleaning or handling. Now, sometimes with the retics and berms even, they might turn around on you, which is what you want to see. They turn their head away from you, but they still are kind of keeping an eye out, and they might be agitated. That's something that comes with time, with learning how to read your animals. You're certainly not going to pick up on that little nuance right away. With boas, I actually think that they're really smart. You always hear that retics are really smart and king cobras are the smartest. I kind of disagree with the retics being really smart. I mean, I've had them for 15 years, and they wrap themselves up during feeding. They miss. They're inaccurate. They'll miss the prey, and they're whiling around like this with their mouth open, and I've had them wrap themselves up multiple times. So, how smart are you really? Are you that excited over food that you still don't realize it's yourself? I've never had a boa do that. So they definitely seem a little more calculated during feeding. So because of that, I've been a little less strict with, I open up a cage and I just kind of pick them up. So, there you go right there. But again, I'm reading the animal as well. So it's kind of a combination of things. However, it's a good practice. Always cancel the feed response. I mean, taking a bite from an adult female boa is not going to feel good. It would probably hurt more from a 7-8 foot adult female boa than a 10-foot retic, because they're still slender at that point. The boa is going to have more force behind it. But so that's one of the tips. Always do that. And then, basically when you're cleaning, now these racks have a nice shelf here that you can add on, which is pretty cool. So you just kind of do that. You're cleaning, you put the snake somewhere. I got a lot of empty bins right now, so I just put them in there and I do my thing. I have a simple enclosure. I know a lot of people online now, it's kind of like a revolution doing naturalistic and giving them huge spaces, and that's great. But as long as I've kept reptiles, I've given them a water bowl and substrate, and it makes keeping everything sterile just so much easier. Cleaning, feeding, handling, it's so much easier. The less stuff that's in there, the less stuff you have to clean, the less stuff you have to get out. And if you've ever kept giant snakes, the amount of waste they produce, you just couldn't keep up with branches and waterfalls and hides and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, you do what's best for you. You do what you want to do. This is how I do it. I've had great success doing this. So water bowl, paper. Now this is newspaper. It's unprinted. I'm going to give you a little secret here. Your town paper will sell, it's called an end roll, okay? So it's the end of the newspaper that they don't put ink on anymore, and it's thick. They leave a lot of paper on there, and you can go buy that for pretty cheap. Let me show you. I actually have my phone propped up on it. So that is an end roll. I'll back up. Whoa. Okay. I think that one was like $6. I just cut them to size. I got a lot of different sizes. You just cut them. So I have a whole, you know, a bunch of sheets over here in my little closet of this size, and then for the 4x2 cages and so on. So I'm not wasting time cleaning each animal, cutting paper. I just grab paper that's pre-cut, put it in, you know, deli cup water bowl. I use it for a while, then it gets stained from the, you know, like the fluoride or minerals that's in water, or they defecate around it. Toss it, get another one, and that's it. Put your snake back, and you're good. So I actually use stainless steel water bowls for the big, for the cages, for the adults, for the females. But another thing I've used forever, Listerine, right at the store, CVS, the grocery store. It's great. I've cleaned with that for 15 years. Never had any problems. And it smells good. So I'm sure there's better disinfectants. I do use chlorhexidine. That's great. But I've used Listerine forever, man. And it kills germs. It's going to do a great job cleaning your enclosure. And it's, excuse me, it smells good. So that's another tip. So get your end roll newspaper, unprinted, Listerine. If you have an animal that pushes a lot, retics are known for pushing. They will mess their face up. They'll kill themselves from pushing. I had one of my 18-foot tiger retics 12 years ago create such an abscess in her lip from pushing. And I used Listerine, and I would put it inside the cage. I'd soak certain areas that I knew she was pushing on. That way when she would push, not only did it clean it, it would burn and make them stop pushing. As well as you give them a meal and they stop as well. Those are all little tricks from the retic industry. I know this is basically a boa thing now. I really haven't seen boas push. I'm kind of new to boas, so you know I don't have decades of experience with them, but I haven't seen any boas pushing, which is a nice thing to have, believe me. If you looked at one of my videos from, again, years ago, I think it's like episode 3 maybe, I actually filmed injecting my tiger with, can't remember the medication I had got, Baytril, I think, because of the abscess from pushing. Anyways, what did we cover? Paper, cleaning, hook training. That's pretty much it, I think. I've gone over thermostats in another video. Heating, heat tape, heat panels, They both do a great job depending on your setup. One might be better than the other. Let me think. I think that is it. Oh, yeah. You don't need it, but you should have it. This is an infrared, heat gun. Really, they use them a lot in the auto industry and stuff. But it's nice to just, check your hot spot, check your cold end, get your ambient. I do use one of these. This is great from Walmart, Accurite. So what do we got in here? 79 in the room and 46 for the humidity. When I first started out long ago, I used to put a gauge in each tank. And, that was good because I was learning. So I didn't really know throughout the day and the week and the seasons what things were going to be. But once I got some experience under my belt, I pretty much just knew, you're going to have low humidity in here in this time of the year, depending on how you're heating. And, you mist it down, you dump the water bowl when they're in shed a week or two before, and you spray them down more then. And, all the little things you kind of figure out with experience. But if you want to get a gauge like that, a hydrometer and a thermometer, do it. That's great. The humidity can get lower than what you hear people say on all the forums, unless they're in shed. You don't have to keep that up all the time because that can create its own amount of issues without having proper ventilation. So I've always heated my room. So I've always had a good ambient. I used to only heat the room. I used to not even give hot spots. I heat the room to the mid 80s and just leave it alone. So a lot of ways of doing stuff. With retics, they like it cooler. You start giving them 88, 90 degree hot spot and they start pushing. It aggravates them. So I found with them, if I'm at 84, 85, perfect. Down into the upper 70s. Boas, I do think that they like to have a hot spot around 90. And, in the summertime, this room, I'll keep the whole room in the mid 80s. You can, temp gun one of these cages and it'll be 86 on the cold end and 90 on the hot end. And they're fine. They're not even moving. They're hanging out. So, I'm trying to think here. I don't need to do a tarantula video. I only got one of those left. This whole room used to be my spider room. I've actually been drying out this tank a little here, my tarantula tank, because I heat the room. I've been putting water in it more and more. Thinking about moving her out somewhere in the living room maybe. But that's pretty much it, guys. I know I've showed the video last couple videos ago with the racks and the cages and stuff, so we don't need to revisit any of that. Get yourself a water bottle. These are great from Home Depot. And I definitely missed the cages. Like I said, if they're in shed, I will certainly do it more. I actually have, there you go, the humidifier. It's on now, as you can see. In the winter, I think it's a good idea. Springtime, summertime, not so much. You kind of have enough of the ambient. And again, as you go along, you just kind of learn your specific area and what's what. So, the dogs are barking. Gotta see who's walking by the house. Alright guys, so I hope that helped. I know there's a lot of reptile keepers out there, new keepers, and a lot of the old guys, they'll know what I'm talking about and all that. But little tips here to save you some money and help you out along the way. YouTube, Facebook didn't exist when I started. I'm not an old guy by any means, but I just remember trying to email people questions because there really wasn't any forums around. So this is a great platform to be able to help people. You get to look on your phone through the comfort of your home and just check out what people have to offer. So, I've learned a lot from other people along the years. None of this is me inventing it or anything. It's just stuff I've used and had great success with. And we always want to save money. So, you know, check out your town newspaper. They should be selling end rolls, and, you know, get you some Listerine. You can use Listerine for all kinds of stuff at the house for cleaning, you know, toilets and bathrooms and your car and all kinds of stuff. But it definitely works for cleaning reptiles. And that's basically it. So have a good day, all right?